All right, YouTube, something extremely surprising has just happened. I can't believe that I'm actually making this video. If you had asked me when I thought I would make it, I'd say 2030 or something like that. Utah apparently, because of a lawsuit that was brought before a federal judge by several gay couples, uh, apparently now has legalized gay marriage because the only thing stopping them from marrying in the state was essentially a ban on same-sex marriage, which was now ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge. So that that layer of defense put there by Mormons, largely, let's face it, they basically run the state of Utah, just fell. If you had asked me what states I thought were most likely contenders for the next round of legalization. Of course, New Mexico just legalized it as well. If you had asked me which states I thought would probably legalize gay marriage next, Utah would have been on the bottom of the list. Not near the bottom, I mean dead last. This is an extremely conservative state, an extremely religious state. Uh, by conservative, I don't mean fiscally so much as I mean a bunch of reactionary moralists. Extremely religious state, overwhelmingly Mormon. I think every county in Utah is primarily Mormon. There are Mormon temples everywhere, and Mormons, of course, have their own bizarre marriage practices. They originally did support polygamy until the church bent to the rulings of politicians in the country and gave that up. Of course, anti-polygamy laws are actually disappearing now too. I always found it funny that the Mormons were one of the foremost groups that were fighting for quote-unquote traditional marriage. But the butthurt, the level of anger from the moralists right now. I won't even say right wingers because there are conservatives who really don't give a shit. People like Bush, for instance, don't give a shit. They pay lip service to religion and then they forget about it. The real moralists, the people like Santorum and Bachman, must be crying right now. You can bet that a lot of these really virulent Mormons, a lot of these really poisonously religious individuals are wishing that they were allowed to drink right now. And the more liberal amongst them probably are drinking at the moment to forget their sorrows. There are also the usual people that are saying, this is an activist judge removing the rights of the state. Well, I've pointed out before, states' rights are very good. I'm a believer in states' rights. I think states should have more of a say in what they do. But when they begin to oppress the population, when they take advantage, when they basically play to the majority and throw the sheep to the wolves, so to speak, when they undergo essentially the danger of direct democracy, which is two wolves and a sheep having something for dinner and then trying to decide what it is, guess what it ends up being, then the federal government, in some form, whether it's a federal judge, the Supreme Court, the Congress, the executive branch, whatever, does need to step in and protect the interests of a minority if they're being unduly burdened, if they're being oppressed. There are people, and here's the other funny thing. You see a lot of people in some of these moralist states, places like Alabama or Mississippi or certainly Utah, that always before they would say, well, if people are gay and want to get married, they can move out of our state. Well, now it's turned around. Now it's if you want to be against gay marriage, you might as well move out of these states. You can see them whining for yourself on either of the links that I've got in the description. It's very funny, but again, I never in a million years would have guessed that Utah, of all places, one of the most red religious states of all, if I think it's actually the most red state of all. Actually, it might even be the most religious state of all, because of the Mormon Church again there. The Latter-day Saints, the Joseph Smith cult worshippers. I never would have guessed that it would be Utah next. I would have guessed it would be some marginally blue state or something like that. The other thing is this. This ruling, if it stands, which let's face it, it's likely to, the Supreme Court would likely not hear such a case. If this goes to the Supreme Court, they might refuse to hear it. I don't think that the current Supreme Court has the balls to make a ruling on something like this that could either legalize gay marriage nationally or shut down all debate about gay marriage for the next century. I don't think they have the balls to do that. They've taken a fairly hands-off approach. Of course, they shot down DOMA. That was a no-brainer that they were going to do that. Everyone realized they were going to shoot it down. I don't think they'll approach the issue. If they do, I think they're going to rule in favor of the federal judge in this case and the plaintiffs against the state of Utah, which means you'll have federal gay marriage. It'll be legal in all states. I think more likely what's going to happen, though, is that now people in other states where gay marriage has been banned, irrespective of what the Supreme Court thinks or does, barring them taking the case, will use this particular ruling as a precedent. Because let's face it, the judge is going to, obviously there'll be appeals. It's probably going to stand, though. What you're going to see is other plaintiffs in other states where it's been banned use this ruling as a precedent to back up their own arguments against it in other states. What this could do is fast-track legalization in about a dozen other states where it's been banned. You could literally start seeing states like Texas or Alabama legalize gay marriage now. Today, because of this ruling, it just became possible. Now, being a libertarian myself, my own view is I don't give a shit who gets married. I don't give a... Gays should be able to marry, lesbians, people should be able to be in polygamous relationships. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect anybody except for those that are entering into the arrangement. I don't care. I have no moral... I'm not religious, so I don't have any moral quandaries about it. I honestly couldn't care less who gets married or what arrangements they want to get married. In Oklahoma, a 12-year-old can get married as long as they have parental consent to someone of any age. Nobody has a big issue about that. Bestiality is still legal in certain states. It hasn't become a national issue for some reason. What, are these moralists, these crazed religious folks saying that gay marriage is worse than that? You have the Fuck Dynasty airhead there, the bearded, crazed duck dude there talking about how gay is like bestiality. Who gives a fuck? He probably porks the pig for real in his own life. Maybe he's just projecting onto gay couples because he finds it morally repugnant because his 2,000-year-old completely outdated book says it's wrong. Supposedly, of course, you can interpret it multiple ways. But I like seeing the religious people whine. It's funny to me because they deserve to whine. These people don't have a leg to stand on. They continuously revert to the argument of America, the shining Christian city on a hill argument, essentially. Well, we were founded as a Christian nation. I tell them, read quotes by your founders. Any of them. Not one of them was really active in any organized religion. Benjamin Franklin used to have orgies in his basement and founded the Hell Devils Club and used to literally have drunken orgies in his home. George Washington didn't give a shit about organized religion. Thomas Jefferson disliked the Bible so much in its current form that he actually made his own Bible to, according to him, I guess, be more in line with reason and the nature of this sort of quasi-theosophic God that he perceived of. Adams didn't... None of these people cared. They weren't religious. They were spiritual. They were theists. They didn't care about the church. They had just left their home country in part, and the Puritan movement was the same way because there was a lot of religion involved with the state. Of course, they were Protestants largely, other than I think it was Patrick Henry was the only Catholic amongst them. So they didn't give a shit about the state being necessarily Protestant, but they didn't come here to found a Protestant nation. They came here to make essentially the antithesis to what they had witnessed in Britain. Part of that was making it a secular nation. Secular, pluralistically secular, not secular as in, well, we'll all be atheists and nobody can believe what they want to believe. You can go ahead. Nobody's saying that you can't believe in your God or go to church or burn effigies or dance around a flaming cross. You can do that if you want. Some of it's stupid, but you can. What you can't do, though, is use your state's politics, its political might, to oppress minority groups. And what these people and what the governor of Utah is now alluding to is saying, well, this is an activist judge and states' rights and we have the right to legislate our own morality and so forth and legislate, and they term it like common sense laws to promote like procreation, which is completely ridiculous and irrational. It's like an 1800s view of things. What they don't understand is that that was the exact same argument used for prohibition and Jim Crow laws and eugenics and all of these other things. You don't see them supporting. It's the same. It's never worked before for any of these issues. It's never going to work. Even if 90% of the nation suddenly becomes a bunch of moralists, it's still not going to work as an argument because it's still contrary to the rule of law, which is what they don't realize. So I'm surprised that I'm making this video because, I never expected Utah to be on the short list of states that would be ahead of the curve in having legalized gay marriage, but apparently now the very bulwark, the bastion of moralism in the entire country, the most redneck, red potatoes and steak state of all, has legalized gay marriage now, courtesy of a federal judge who actually understands the Constitution. So it's a good day for me, and it's a good day for all of us because the crazy zealots lost. And if it were Muslims being told no to Sharia law, I'd be celebrating just the same. So don't feel sad, Mormons and Christians. Also, Mormonism is crazy anyway. They think horses existed in the Americas before the Spanish brought them here, along with elephants, by the way, and that the Garden of Eden was apparently in Alabama or Missouri or something like that. So here's the caliber of folks that they had to deal with on this ruling. So that's about all. It blows my mind that it's legal there now, and apparently several couples now have already been married. Peace out.